Welcome back to Build It. Today we're going to finish up the exhaust and I'm going to wrap it and I'm going to show you how to install a wideband sensor on an exhaust without a welder. So stay tuned because we're going to be building it. Building it. I should have just named it Building It, not Build It. Damn it. Okay, I wanted to first, before we kind of jump into the whole exhaust thing, give you guys a quick update on where we're at with the engine. As you can see, there's a lot more kind of put together on the engine that wasn't there before. So basically, I didn't film all this stuff because I kind of thought you guys might be boring. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. I put the radiator, or sorry, the alternator on, plumb those up. The fuels lines, the coils are on there, the spark plugs, wires, everything's kind of attached there. This part I didn't show you. So remember I alluded to it last time. So I purchased this new oil line here. And that oil line goes across over to the main pickup here. So that way there's no more like hokey oil line sitting on the hot side of the turbo. I also reconfigured the coolant line, kind of have an elbow coming down. That's also away from the outside of the turbo. So in addition to that, I buttoned up the oil lines, as you can see, new copper washers. And if you haven't done this already, there's a lot of copper washers on your fittings, and you never want to go cheap on that and don't reuse your copper washers because they're meant to kind of mold to the metal fittings, so that creates a seal. So there was also copper fittings on the fuel rail here, which you can probably see. So I just went on Amazon and I found this cool little copper washer kit, and pretty much it has all the copper washers that you could want right here. So I can even use them for like oil changes and stuff, so I recommend that. Whatever that dye whiskey, I don't know. Anyway, check it out. So we also got, of course, the intake on. We got the wire harness, or engine harness, the right wire harness. In case you guys have never heard of that, that is basically, if I get that, rywire.com. They are who makes the wire. It's a custom engine harness for the Apexi FC controller and ECU. So that just plugs right in, and then basically all of the wires go right up to the bare essentials of what you need to get the car running. So of course it gets rid of the whole rat's nest. It has a plug for all the sensors that it needs. A couple things I still need to hook up is the boost control solenoid, which I'll do probably the next time, and then the knock sensor. I found out the knock sensor on this car, which is way down there somewhere. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the wire that is basically coming out, and notice it doesn't have a connector. So I bought some connectors on, I believe it was Amazon. Same connector fitting that would fit into the knock sensor plug here, and so I'll just put the new fitting on that, plug it in, and we're back in business. One thing I did find out I was missing is the bracket here for the throttle cable, which is here. So the throttle cable basically goes around the outside and comes in here, right? So the throttle cable's coming in. Really cool guy. Met on the forums. He happened to have one So I went ahead and purchased it from him. So what else? Hooked up, of course, the oil inlet, and then I, of course, hooked up the the oil filter and the inlet there. Plumbed those lines up for the oil cooler. I still need to attach this oil feed to something because I took those lines off, so now it doesn't have anything to go to. I have to look into that. I think that's where the catch can might go to, but I have to check it out. Anyway, as you can see, we're getting pretty close. Now I went ahead for today, what we're going to do, which I thought would actually be more interesting, is I pulled off the V-band, I took off the downpipe, and took off the wastegate. I don't think I've ever really shown you what the wastegate looked like on this stuff, so you're about to find out. It's going to be controversial. Try not to get triggered, but yeah, I'm kind of running with it, so we'll see how it goes. You'll see what I mean in a second. So the reason I took this off is a couple reasons. One, I needed to put the fittings on the wastegate. Got really happy and didn't realize I didn't put the fittings on the wastegate. And the wastegate didn't have the fittings on it. I don't know. But those are coming in the mail because I had to find them. And once I do that, I can basically connect the wastegate up to the boost source, i.e. the compressor, and then of course the Apex FXC boost control solenoid. And I had to go back and forth on the forums and Google and everything else to figure out how this gets hooked up, because you can see there's a COM. Sorry, my camera's not really focusing that well today. My lens is already. There's a COM, there's an NO, and then there's a NC port on this controller. So a couple people said, oh, just, this goes to the top port, this goes to the bottom port. I'm sorry, this goes to the compressor, this goes to the compressor, leave this open, don't leave that open, leave this open, connect this to the top port, connect this to the compressor, connect this to the compressor, connect this to the top port. Yeah, tee this to the bottom port. So I think I got it all worked out. Thank you to everyone on the forums for your input. And, eventually you will get to the right information. You dig deep enough, and I couldn't have done it without the support from the forums. Mainly I use the Facebook groups. There's, of course, the RX7 Facebook group, which is a lot of information from pretty much all over the world. A lot of people on it. And then, where I reside, there's some more local groups that I use. All right, so for the most part, where are we at as far as status-wise? When are we going to get this thing, started? So mainly what we have to do is, of course, we can consult the list, but really it's just kind of truing up the exhaust, getting the wastegate plumbed, and then there's a couple, things here and there's always something here and there, but nothing really just like crazy, right? The major thing I think that we still have to do is, of course, put the front mount intercooler on, and then I have to see how that works out in terms of the plumbing, because then I can see if I have to, or if I'm able to mount the radiator in a stock position, or if I need to create, get the welder out and create some new mounting points for the radiator. So I just don't know how it's going to work out until I actually do the plumbing. So I know I could start the car without the intercooler, but then I'd have to drain the radiator all over again, and that would just be, not fun times. So there will be a front mount intercooler. As you can see, there's a lot of room here. Another fun thing I have to do is, I got these off the internet. And eventually, when you buy enough stuff off the internet that are used from people, you're going to get burned. So this guy sold me these because I was going to go with the, the stock sway bars. This is where the one side of the mount for the radiator. Come to find out, these are rusted to hell. All the seams, there's rusted. You can actually see light through it. He just spray painted them black, and was like, here you go. So I would say off of pretty much the majority, 99% of the things I bought from people from forums and stuff like that were legit good stuff. Weren't broken per se. Well, knock on wood, because we'll find out when we start it if some of the parts that I did buy were broken. But I mean, for the most part, like, I'm not worried about it. I'm sure they're fine. So those were the only things I really got scammed on. But at this point, I mean, who the hell cares? What I am going to do is I'll show you. Sorry for the mess, guys, but I've been doing lots of fun things here in the garage. So these are the actual mounts that came on this, and as you can see, they're aftermarket. So I'm guessing they had. My guess is they had a V mount on this before I got it, and because I know that because there's no mounting points for the radiator, so obviously they did. There's some other weird sketchy stuff. I'm missing this brace here, so I'll probably have to fab that if I'll need it to mount like the battery and things like that. But for the most part, I'm going to cut those tabs off there if, it's a big if I'm able to use the stock location with the radiator. I don't know if it's the best place, but it's, the easiest because that's where it's supposed to go. But if I can, then I'll cut those tabs off, and I was going to secure them to this, and then, basically the same kind of geometry. So that way I can use these, these are a hell of a lot better, more sturdy, more secure, and of course aren't rusted. And then of course I can hook up the sway bar in addition. So that's a quick update, a lot of information. And if some of you guys are, again, triggered, if you notice, I started cleaning the engine bay. Look, you can actually see there's no dirt. This I have done, so if you want before and after. So this is what 10 minutes of degreaser and rag will do. Makes a big difference. So, of course, we'll continue that with that fun job. Anyway, now we'll get down to it. Still trying to figure out what the best process is as far as do you guys want to see the build, or do you want to listen to me talk, give me an update? So depending on how the editing goes, you might see this after the build or before. So just want you guys to basically watch and get something out of it, or hopefully it's mildly entertaining. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump in today's building it, or build it, or the build. Okay, let's do it. This is the wastegate. It is I don't know, it's supposed to be an HKS replica. Okay, now I told you you'd be triggered, but don't worry. This is what I'm talking about here. So there is this port on the top, the middle port, and the side port. And so my whole thing in life was, okay, once I get the actual correct barb fittings, and by the way, if you guys are in my situation, you need new fittings for your wastegate. It's definitely not nipple fittings. If you go to Amazon and you type nipple fittings or in the internet, and your safe browser is not on. Anyway, it's called a barb fitting, and this is because the HKS, they are not a straight the threads aren't exactly just a common a metric thread or a standard thread. It's something called and I'm going off my memory, but I think it's BST. It's British Standard Thread or something. Enough about that. Now's the fun part. So what are we going to do today? Well, I got really excited, and I put this on, like you saw, without doing this. And then I thought, it would be a really good idea, Mike, to wrap this because it gets really, really hot. So I did. I bought this nice little kit. I think this is from Amazon too. Basically, it's a wrap for exhaust systems. It's a Yaffee exhaust heat wrap. I guess I could. It's on Amazon. Just look at Amazon. It's kind of nice though. It came with gloves for, I guess to you don't get your hands pricked with the fiberglass. It's fiberglass wrap. And so it came with gloves and probably whatever else you want to do with the gloves. And then it came with stainless steel wraps, tie wraps, which is pretty cool. Now I also did buy a whole other package of the zip ties, or the stainless zip ties, because I didn't know if that'd be enough or not. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this, so you'll see that process. And then I'm not going to wrap the actual manifold because it's just kind of an awkward place, and I don't really think that's going to be our main heat creep area. I think although it will be hot, I think this whole apparatus and the hot side turbos could be where our major heat problems are. The manifold's pretty tucked down low. It's not really next to anything that sensitive, so this is what we'll focus on. Now, before we're doing that, I'm going to show you something else that I found. Now, I don't have a TIG welder. I bought a welder from Harbor Freight that was on sale. So it's just a MIG, and it's it's a flux cord or flux wire, and so I didn't have to buy gas. I wasn't looking to start a welding shop, so I just wanted something I could use when I needed to, little this and that, and you'll see that too. I'll do a video on that. So that being said, this is stainless. You're just not going to be able to really do a good job welding with a MIG. So I needed a solution for this. I'm fairly certain that there is a upgraded fuel pump in the tank. And I'm only saying that because I think I said this before, I know for a fact this has a single in it, so they had to have upgraded the fuel pump. I really doubt that they took that out. They took a lot of other stuff out of here, but I don't think they did that. And the guy that I bought it from, he thinks that there is one there too. But we'll find out when the car's running and we look at the meter readings of the F. So there's that. And of course it does have slightly upgraded injectors from stock. So I am not trying to do 500 plus horsepower on this car. So I feel that I'll be okay. I'm just kind of looking for 350 range. I want a track car, reliable car, and if you ever tracked a car, you definitely don't want a boost surge when you're coming out of a corner. On this light of a car, you don't really need that much. So that's why I'm kind of keeping it, in a good area. I think 350 on this light of a car, and maybe 400 is totally fine. I know. Get to it, Mike. We like listening to you talk, but come on. All right. So we have this. What is this? This is an air-fuel ratio meter, and of course it is a wideband meter. So you can actually see what your air-fuel ratio is versus like a single band, which really just tells you more or less what your basic kind of area is as far as where you are. doesn't give you real good specifics like on like a digital readout and things like that that tells you exactly where you are as far as your mixture goes. So wideband does that. Now, this did come with a bung already ready to go, but this is for the O2 sensor, and the O2 sensor will go to the ECU. Now, so what I need to do is I need to put another bung on this so that I can connect the wideband. So, I bet you're thinking, Mike, how are you going to do that? You just said you don't have a TIG welder. What are you going to do, Mike? Mike, we're all waiting to see what you're going to do. Well, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this really cool thing that I got from AEM. I got this from, I think I got it from Summit. It is called the AEM, I don't know what it's called, but it's from AEM, and basically what it is, it's a little kit that you can buy that has a bung already welded. Pretty cool, huh? And it comes with these two gaskets that you put on the top and the bottom. And basically, you put this where you want on your exhaust, and then you just mark it out and drill it. When you drill it, it is already aligned, of course, where the bung is supposed to go. It has a locator at the bottom, see? This thing. So it fits right into the exhaust system, and of course it's covered up by the gaskets. And then you just put your sensor right in there. Hey, I think it's a very good solution. It's cheap. I can do it at home when I take my whole system out and get it welded somewhere. Now down the road, maybe I will, but this is what I'm doing for now. This is a solution that I'm going to go with because I thought it was actually quite ingenious. So I, give credit where credit is due. Now in the car, this is actually more or less situated like this. Okay, so this is of course what the turbo is. That's the one sensor, and the wastegate gets attached here. And then this, of course, goes to exhaust. So I was trying to think of a place where I want to put the sensor. I want to try to keep it probably away from the turbo. Down here, I think anywhere down here is safe. So I was thinking this section right here would be a good place for it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do the final measurements of where I'm going to put that, and then I can go ahead and attach it. Not attach it, but drill the hole. And then I can attach it, and then I will wrap it. And the last thing I'm going to do is this is high temp silicone coating. You're basically, once you wrap it, this is another added layer of protection for your exhaust system as far as keeping heat in. And basically, you just saturate the wrap. That's cool because you can make it different colors. I just went with black. But it's supposed to add that extra protection. Okay, so here we go. Remember guys, always use lube. Dremel tool. I just pretty much smoothed out the sides, bored it out a little bit. So idea, what you want to happen here is you want this to sit in flush. Not loose, just as basically as at that cusp of not fitting and fitting, so that it creates a very tight seal around the inner bung that protrudes out into the inside. So yeah, I mean, that looks good. Very good seal, doesn't move. It's going to work perfect. Alright, this is pretty tight, so what I'm going to do first is I'm simply just going to put the nut on without the lock washer, and then I'm going to clamp it and put enough, force around it to basically get this one to protrude enough. And then while that's being held, I will do the lock nut on this side. When that's tightened down, back that off and put the lock nut back on. So that is that. Looks good. Now we wrap. Distance. Thanks for joining me on the latest episode. We pretty much gonna let that dry, go ahead and install it. Next episode, we'll be doing the wastegate, plumb up all the vacuum lines, any kind of loose electrical connections I need to button up. Pretty much get the exhaust done. And then, pretty much around the home stretch. Right after that, we'll tackle the front mount intercooler, and then the radiator, and the sway bars. And outside of, I'll probably drain the fuel tank, put a new fuel filter in there. Really the next step is just kind of getting the battery in there, seeing what it does. Probably have to program the XCFC controller, ECU, but really, yeah, we're on the home stretch. So thanks again for watching. Really appreciate your support. And for all of you that have helped me along the way on the forums and all that fun stuff, thank you as well. So we'll see you next time. Leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see what happens next. See you next time.